Congressman, thanks for joining us. I mean, I'm struck by the fact that the Attorney General of the United States left his job this week, and we're also numbed by everything that's happened in the Trump administration that it kind of passed at the end of the midterms there, and we're also trying to process it. Give us your thoughts on this. Are you confident that Donald Trump will pick a good replacement for Jeff Sessions, whether it's Matt Whitaker or somebody else? And where do you see, how do you see Whitaker handling the Mueller investigation?
Well, I think Whitaker is clearly a caretaker. He knows it. I saw him at the Supreme Court delivering the documents for the investiture of Kavanaugh, and I noted that the Chief Justice recognized his legitimacy as the acting Attorney General. But the president's going to have to pick somebody who has the organizational skills that to run the Department of Justice that candidly was in doubt with Jeff Sessions. He was an honorable, incredibly high integrity man, but he wasn't running the organization, and it's important that those U.S. attorneys do their job. It's a vast organization, including the FBI. So one of the good things about Whitaker as a caretaker is it incentivizes the president to quickly, within 210 days under the legislation that allowed him to appoint him, he's got 210 days to get a replacement. But I think both the Senate and the president are going to want to get somebody good and get him in there soon.
Do you see any serious challenge to Whitaker's authority here? Democrats are already talking about this question about the Vacancies Act and some of the things. Whitaker has been a very sharp critic of the Mueller probe. He's called it a lynch mob. He's called it a witch hunt. He said that one way to end it would be to just sort of starve the beast and take the money away from it. Is this really a guy that should be in charge of this incredibly important investigation?
Well, remember that, as far as I know, Rod Rosenstein is still day-to-day overseeing Mueller. So I don't see that as a problem. What I do see is that the law is clear. The ability of the president to name somebody acting for 210 days and extend it under certain limited conditions is well understood. It's not a new law. My former role as chairman of oversight, we also had the Office of Personnel Management under us. And so we dealt with exactly that. And, the current situation with the OMB director also overseeing on an acting basis the consumer financial protection. People may not like it, but that's the way the law was written, and it's been in place for a while. President Clinton and Obama both had the opportunity and did use that statute. So it's pretty clear. I don't see a challenge. I think the important thing is that this question of somebody who didn't have the respect of the president and who was clearly not on a day-to-day running this large bureaucracy, that's behind us, and it's time to move forward and get somebody in there. I think our justice decision, we need a decision. We need a leader.
Right. Could that somebody be you?
I would doubt it. I may be good at organization, but at the same time, somebody who served as a U.S. attorney, who understands that bureaucracy or served in the FBI, would likely be a better choice. And there are a great many people who have served in one or more of those, if you will, large bureaucracies.
How important is it, Congressman, for whomever is nominated to tell the confirmation hearing essentially on the issue of whether or not they would recuse themselves or whether they would work to fire the Deputy Attorney General, Rod Rosenstein?
Well, first of all, the recusal in retrospect was a mistake by Jeff Sessions. He had the appearance of a conflict. He took it seriously and he recused himself. But now that we fully understand that there is no there in this collusion accusation, that the fake dossier and other things should have been investigated by Department of Justice. They should have been looking at the DNC producing what turns out to cost the U.S. government millions of dollars, going down a false narrative. We would want somebody who comes in to investigate all sides of that appropriately. Having said that, it's been 2 years. Mueller hasn't come up with one person in the Trump campaign that was, in fact, working with the Russians, colluding in this election. So any legitimate person would say, how much longer is he going to be allowed to go on a fishing expedition? He's been fishing for a long time and hasn't come up with even a mackerel.
Congressman, it's had to be a little bit of a tough week for you. Your old district, of course, going to a Democrat in Mike Levin, and part of the storied, California, Orange County, the land of Ronald Reagan, the land of John Wayne. Talk to us about how your district is changing and what that means for the future of Republican politics in the state of California.
Well, first of all, I look forward to the transition with Mike Levin. He's a smart young man, and I think he has the best interest of the district as his first priority. Secondly, 3/4 of the district was in San Diego, and when they redistricted it a few years ago, they gave me a big chunk of, if you will, hardcore Democratic area that had historically quite frankly, voted Republicans out. So it's not a surprise that there'd be a transition. But as you mentioned, California has been trending toward Democrats. Millions more people voted for Hillary Clinton in California than, as maybe 4 million more voted for Hillary than for Trump. So living in a state that has decided that it should be one party is a little tough.
Well, Congressman, now, Democrats have the majority. And you've got, the situation going on at the Attorney General's office. Look, we're going to have Congressman John Garamendi on, a Democrat, in the next later this hour, and they're going to investigate. And the president's saying, don't investigate, legislate. What risk do Democrats have in about the 30 seconds we have left of going too far with these investigations?
Well, it is important to legislate, even while you're doing investigations, and I know John very well. If he does legitimate oversight, if, in fact, he's looking for mistakes and problems in the bureaucracy rather than just targeting, let's say, the president, I think he's going to be well received. Every administration has things that, if properly investigated, makes the administration better. You can't have millions of people working for the government and not have waste, fraud, and abuse. So I think this administration, rightfully so, will and should welcome legitimate oversight, and I hope that they will, and I'm certainly going to encourage them to do that.